Guys, after subscribing to this channel, please make sure that you also press the bell icon so that no notification, no new video of mine, any educational video, is missed by anybody.
So the first question is the easier one. Discuss the management of a 59-year-old postmenopausal woman with vaginal bleeding. So when I say discuss the management, I start from the detailed history. So I'd like to know she's a postmenopausal female. So what all is she having? Since how long is she having the bleeding? How much is the bleeding? How often is the bleeding? What is the quantity of bleed? Is there any pain associated? Was there any lesion before? Is she also having itching? Is she sexually active? All these things. Is she on HRT? Is she on any blood thinners? Is she on any other medication? What about her morbidity, mortality? I mean, the things which might lead to mortality in the sense that she might be having some high risk factors, severe chronic renal hypertension, severe CHD, COPD, any of those high risk features which can lead on to anything getting bad to worse. So you need to know all those features as well as the exact characteristic of her bleeding. Not only that, if she's got any high risk factors for endometrial cancer, which again is towards the morbidity mortality place. So risk factors for endometrial cancer like she's obese, family history, isn't it? Any age above 50 or 55 is, she becomes high risk because she is, having a history of PCOS. What was about her menstrual as well as pregnancy history, early late menopause, nelly gravida, all these things which you have said so many times. The entire history you will see, and you'll try to understand whether she's at a high risk of developing endometrial hyperplasia, endometrial carcinoma, and she has any morbidities associated. Then you'll go on to do her general examination, followed by systemic and pelvic examination. So in pelvic examination specifically, you'll see any local lesions are not there, any growth is not there, right? And any untoward, pelvic mass is not there. All these things you'd like to see. And then you go to the investigations, amongst which the most important is TVS. Correct? You like to see the endometrial thickness of this patient, and at the same time, you like to go for a biopsy if required. So at least these are the most important. You have to talk. And of course, pap smear history. She's already 59. By this time, usually PAPs and HPV already stops. And if she was having anything, she would have told you. But still, you'd like to inquire whether she's been regularly on pap smear or not. She's been going in for HPV or not. All these things. And of course, the baseline tests have to be done. Correct? So what is exactly coming in your mind right now? I have not yet given you the management. I've just given you that history is important, examination is important, investigations are important. Now I'm formulating a plan. What is the possibility of a 59-year-old woman with postmenopausal period? Probably she's on some drug, HRT, local lesion. Most important and most common is atrophic vaginitis, right? Atrophic vaginitis, cervicitis, endometritis, anything. All kind of atrophies in which you'll have very little bleeding, probably with some history, maybe coital history, or excessive discharge or excessive itching. So these particular, and then of course you have all the bad, like I said, morbidity, mortality, things like malignancies or growth or hyperplasias, all these things. Then the treatment will start as per the disease. So you went in for a complete history, examination, investigations, and then you try to narrow it down. So if it is atrophic vaginitis or endometritis, then you give her some local estrogen therapy, give her lubricants, moisturizers. If she's sexually active, tell her to abstain for some time till it's completely healed. Okay. Benign endometrial pathology, that means she's got polyps, polypectomy, fibroid, mammectomy, or maybe going for a hysterectomy, or even with hormonal management, but you have to be very cautious at around 59, 60 years of age, because hormonal management at this point in time can be dangerous. So better will be going for a mammectomy. You can even go for uterine artery embolization, because here you don't have any risk of her getting pregnant, because we do not entertain uterine artery embolization or MRGFUS for any patient who is planning a pregnancy. So for this case, you can easily go. Then HRT, of course, if you're having all those signs and symptoms of atrophy or genitourinary syndrome, why not go for HRT? Then endometrial hyperplasia, if she has, then you know how it has to be done. Simple hyperplasia, go for progestin. Complex hyperplasia, hysterectomy. Of course, if she has malignancy, then an entire malignancy protocol, which stage, which grade, what kind of surgery, what follow-up, everything. Are you with me so far, guys? Everyone? That was just part A. So much. You know, how many slides? 15 slides are over. Only on just one part A. You know, today I saw one advertisement from somebody who's proclaiming to give the answer bank in 1,000 rupees or something. And they say 1-page answers. 1-page answers for, you know, the answer bank DNB or some, I don't know, MSMD. And I was so surprised. How can they? I mean, what will you guys write in the exam if you go and learn this kind of answer bank? You know, people these days, because of AI and everything, they have everybody, these houses, they pick up a few handful of gynecologists and they make them speak, and then they train them, make them coaches. Those people who, you know, might not even have the zeal of teaching. And it's very bad for you people, you know. So my request is, guys, please don't fall for money. Like many of my students also do that. They keep asking for discounts all the time. And I tell them that any good study material is not negotiable, beta. Always have respect for somebody who's putting their heart and soul into teaching. Identify a good teacher. That will be for life. Okay, for life. These fundas, if they are created once, if you get good stuff at one place, all consolidated, organized, that's like blessing. You know, you could have spent, you know, years missing out on the proper information. And here you're getting everything consolidated, organized in one place. Somebody's there to teach you. What more do you want? So all I'm saying is there is, you know, XYZ people in the market, guys. Please make sure that you choose the right thing for yourself. Don't fall for money alone. Anytime. Not for studies at all. Ever. Maybe for anything else you can do a bargaining. Not for studies ever. Not for books. Not for notes. And not definitely for any, you know, this cheaper alternative of what you're getting anywhere which you are very satisfied about. I'm not talking only about myself. I'm talking everybody in the market. Let's come back. Then there was a question on PMS. Not a very straightforward, I would say, question, in the sense that PMS is not one topic which is very often repeated. But that being said, it has already come, so you better get yourself into understanding the premenstrual syndrome. I used to run away, you know, in my PG days from such things, you know, premenstrual syndrome and all. But yes, they're extremely important, and a very, you know, easy question has been asked from it. Direct question. Discuss the pathogenesis and management. The topic is not very common, but the question is very straightforward and very open. Pathogenesis and management of PMS. So what is the pathogenesis of PMS? I just want two names. Serotonin, GABA. These two hormones are dysregulated. One is more, one is less, something like that. So reduced serotonin levels are associated with mood disturbances, irritability, and other emotional symptoms. Okay, and GABA dysregulation is associated with the rest of the features like feeling bloated, feeling low, feeling depressed, and mostly a feeling of irritability by both these hormones. So serotonin and GABA dysregulation, I would rather say, are the main influences of PMS. Then, of course, you have hormonal fluctuations. So there is a cyclical pattern. Estrogen is high, then goes low. Usually when estrogen is low and progesterone is high, irritability, depression, mood disturbances, they are at their paramount high. So what happens is all those females who are going through menopause, when suddenly the estrogen suddenly dips or they're not having that kind of a cycle, they have a irritable mood most of the time. Then prostaglandin is also, you know, to a certain extent associated, but usually these three are, I would say, the main factors, the driving force. So this is a 4-mark question. So 2 marks for pathogenesis, 2 marks for management. Management may, I'll just show you one thing. Forget about all this and come to this. This is from GTG guidelines, a very stepwise management of PMS. You forget everything and remember this. So the first line is exercise, CBT, and vitamin B6. Exercise, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. Exercise, cognitive behavioral therapy, and vitamin B6, and a newer generation combined pill. Okay, something which consists of drospirenol, right? Or mostly, yeah, that. Or continuous or luteal phase low dose SSRIs. So either you have a newer generation pill or you have low dose SSRIs like citalopram, escitalopram, but 10 milligram. Second line will be either you go for estrogen patches along with micronized progesterone, or you just go for a simple Mirena. Or high dose SSRIs. There was low dose SSRI that didn't work. You give her high dose SSRI. That's second line. In the third line, you'll have GnRH analogs with ADBAC therapy, because here you'll have to give it for a very long time. Somebody who's having PMS syndrome doesn't just vanish like that, right? And especially if you've put her because of whatever it is that you've put her on gonadotropins, you'll have to use it for more than 3 to 6 months, and after which you will need to have an ADBAC therapy in the form of either continuous combined estrogen progesterone or estrogen patches and minoxidil, correct, or micronized progesterone. Then last resort will be a surgical management in which you remove uterus, ovaries, and give her HRT. That's the management of PMS. That's all you need to know. So since we have more students now, let me tell you that everybody who wants the recorded lectures, you'll have to go and purchase the package of rapid revision in the Class Plus app. Make sure that you people use the coupon code which we have shared in the group so that you get it free of cost. You might have some in-app charges which will not come to us. They are for the app and app maintenance. That's with the people who are maintaining the app. That will be it. That will be like minuscule for what this course is all about. But that's like beyond my reach. So I have given you this course free of cost. You can go access. Suppose in case you miss a class or you need to see the recorded lectures, or all those students who have some emergency duty that you cannot attend the class, you can always go and see the recorded lectures. The PPT is also the newer version, guys. Remember that I'm doing a lot of modulation and changes in the PPT from what it was to what it is right now. So please don't depend on the answer bank PPT alone. It might have been changed already.